Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of On the Road to Discovery with myself. Today, I am not alone, but I'm alone in this episode. I am introducing a Testify series. I have three other amazing ladies with me, and we're just going to share our testimonies and our stories to showcase God's grace, His mercy, and His goodness, and just His power. And we hope that our stories touch your heart and they make you want to know this God. So, welcome to the first episode of the Testify series. Um, where do I start? So, growing up, I was the kid most people didn't like, even my father's family, especially my father's family. I have been called names, okay? I've been called evil. I've been accused of having a bad heart. It was even said that I take after my father. My father is not the kindest man. Mind you, I was just a kid. Like I don't even think I was a teenager yet. I was younger than a teenager. And I was just so confused about this energy that's around me. And it was always like elder people that had this energy around me, like my age mates were chill. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't keep on asking myself that what is it about me that rubs people the wrong way? I'm not troublesome. I've always been unproblematic. Um, I'm quiet. I mind my own business, but still, I manage to rub people the wrong way. So I'm just like, what is it about me? I was a quiet kid. Um, I believe I was overlooked, and it got to a point where I believed that, you know what, maybe I'm just not likable. Maybe I'm the problem. So much so that when I got out into the real world, I started this learnership where I got to meet a lot of people, different people, and people genuinely liked me, not for how I look, but for who I am. Some acknowledged how smart I am, how resourceful I am. And I think the one that really like touched my heart was when a facilitator of mine looked at me and he was like, oh my gosh, there's this radiance about you, there's this light about you. I didn't really know what he meant, but I had a feeling that it was a really great compliment. But all of that was just so confusing to me because never did I think that I would be seen in that light. I was so used to, being seen in the bad light. You know what I mean? Let me start from the beginning. So, my mother and my father separated, and my mother took me to Eastern Cape with her, which is home, Eastern Cape in the Queenstown. I lived with my grandmother, and one day my father came by and he said he's taking me shopping. But that day he had different plans, he had different intentions. He took me and he never took me back home. He took me with him to Johannesburg, to his family. He was married. That is where I met, I want to say, my guardian angel. By law, she's my stepmom, but she raised me as her own. She became a mother to me more than I could ever imagine. And I also got to meet my sister, and my father had two more children, which are my two younger brothers, and my biological mother had another daughter. So in total, I have four siblings, two sisters, and two brothers. After a while, my father started becoming absent, and a few years later, the parents eventually separated, and he really became ghost. He would literally only come by once a year, and even now that's the situation. Like, I can't tell you when was the last time I saw him. It just became the norm. Mind you, this is the situation, right? So my father stole me from my maternal family and brought me here with his family, and then he decides to abandon me and leave me in that very same place. And at the same time, I am growing up without my mother. So I would visit my mother every December, but I grew up without both my parents. And I think that developed abandonment issues within me. And also, this was the situation. So my sister and I were very close in age. We were always together, always chilling together. And people drew liking more towards her, and she was embraced more, and I was just there, invisible, unnoticeable, and just the combination of all of that. I think when I started to form my own relationships, I just developed toxic tendencies. I always wanted to be chosen. I always wanted to be the favorite friend. I wanted to be the bestie. And I'm so glad that I healed and grew from that. I can't imagine being that person today. And I also lacked a sense of belonging. I would question God all the time. Just be like, I would be like, God, why me? Why does this have to be my story? You know? But my testimony is that God gave me a fresh pair of eyes to use when looking back at the story of my life. When I look back, I see the goodness and the mercy of God. God was with me the whole time. He even sent me an angel in human form. You know, my stepmother didn't have to raise me like her own. She even gave me the same opportunities as my siblings. You know, the way that she loved me felt like God saying to me, I did not leave you, I did not forsake you, you are not forgotten. I am working all things together for your good. In the very same place, in the presence of the very same people that felt however way they felt about me, I found favor. You know, I got to experience a better life. I experienced the best of things I never could have imagined. You know, from being a girl from the rurals, I got to attend a private school. I got to live the type of life that I lived. You know, from being stolen by my father to living that type of life through my mom. So I know that as a kid, the story of my life was a very painful thing because I felt abandoned. I felt like I don't belong. I felt like I wasn't loved. I felt lost. I felt like a lost cause. But really, God was just working all things together for my good. You know, my life has never been normal. My biological mother always tells the story of the day she gave birth to me and how we both almost died, and how I spent like my first 3 months in the hospital. And even in that situation, when I look back, I see the goodness and the mercy of God that preserved our lives. You know, before He formed me in my mother's womb, He knew me. Before I was born, He set me apart and gave me a purpose. And something happened in my life, I think last year, and I believe that God used that situation to awaken me to the purpose, to what He spoke about me. I don't know how far the seed, which is this platform God has entrusted me to build, I don't know how far it's gonna go, but I do know what God has spoken over me. I got to discover that through knowing Him. And I'm proud to say that I am an influencer of light and that I was called for such a time as this.